Welcome to another brand new episode of The Offbeat Life, where I speak to inspiring individuals who ditch the norm to follow their passions and find their purpose in order to live their best life. Today's guest is the incredible Ac Sherpa. I met AC a few years ago when I was in the New York Times travel show, and he was promoting his company, International Sherpa Guides. AC has one of the most inspiring journeys that I know, and I really had to share it with all of you. AC was born in Nepal and immigrated to the United States at the age of 13, and he's from a small town in Nepal where healthcare and education were pretty much non-existent. So when he immigrated to the United States, it gave him so many opportunities that he wanted to share it to the people of Nepal. AC is one of the only few individuals in the world who has climbed the 7 tallest summits in the world, and he accomplished this in 42 climbing days in order to raise awareness to what was happening in Nepal. By creating this foundation, AC has been able to give healthcare, education, and has built so many homes for the people after the earthquake has happened. He's also given so many jobs. He is such an inspiring person for me, and I hope that you are also inspired by his story as much as I have been. Hi, AC. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today and telling us about your offbeat life. Can you fill in the gaps of your story and why you live an offbeat lifestyle?
I born in Nepal, a remote village in Himalaya. Population about 1,500 to 2,000 people, and I moved here in the United States back in 1987. I went to high school here and college here, and then after 10, 15 years later, visiting back home wasn't changed, and it was a lot of, it got into more worse. And so coming back to U.S., I kind of grabbed this, trying to get some different opportunity and to help people. And so it chose me to climb the 7 highest mountain in the world to put my name somewhere so people can recognize me. That way I can do some good work for the foundation and people I can help back at home. I know it's climbing 7 summit. People are going to go, how can you help? But first place, nobody knows who Ac Sherpa is. I was trying to let people to know who am I and what I can do and why I'm doing this. So I started make a very difficult decision. I have to leave my 2-year-old daughter behind, my wife, and I started climbing the 7 summit from the North America in Denali, and then Africa, South America, Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, and then after that I went to European tallest in Russia, in Alps, and then from that I went to Kosciuszko in Australia, and then Aconcagua in Argentina, and then South America, down Antarctica in Vinson Massif, and Everest in Southeast Asia. So I climbed in 42 climbing days from city to top and back within 42 climbing days, all 7. Now the 7th summit is doing very well, and we've been helping in Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, and even Tanzania in Africa, and women and children, healthcare, education sector. I never thought I can get into this kind of a social work. First, when I came to America, I was trying to become this, become that, trying to do this, do that, but all my selfish and self-esteem, all those things, it's gone away because social work make me change.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, just from the start of your story where you came from a really small village and an immigrant, and now you have a business here, you started 7 summits, and now you're affecting thousands of people's lives because of what you did and because of climbing those 7 summits. We will look at that and glorify it, but it's really the things that you've done after it that's even more incredible, right? Is you're changing people's lives in all of these different countries that need the education and the help to live a better life because you were able to get that yourself. That's really incredible, AC.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, I mean, when I came to this country, I see the opportunity, like, from my country, like a rupees versus dollar was at the time was about $1 equal 29 rupees. And I was always thinking about, wow, like if I make this much, if I collect this much dollar, how if I convert, I can do this, that in Nepal. And with, for me, coming to America was just walking through the apple garden, which apple to pick, like so much opportunity. And with the opportunity, there's some people can grab that opportunity, some people doesn't decide to grab that opportunity. But for me, always was, how can I get an opportunity? How can I help others? How can I, make a changes? How can I go to next step rather than staying the same step? And that is kind of you have to come from your heart, and you have to be you who you want it to be. It's not, people not gonna bring it to you in the, say like here for you. And I think an age of 13, I'm living into America, moving from parents, my mom and dad, and coming to my elderly brother who lives in Seattle, Washington, and some reason, he doesn't have much education, and I didn't have much education, so we didn't, get along. Its visions are different. My visions are different. I didn't get along very much with my brother. So I kind of decided to move out from my brother age of 13 and 14. And I live one of the host family house, I pay $300. And with that, my early age of hardship and early age of learning a lesson, I think it gave me a lot of matureness and grow up faster, and the opportunity how to grab and how to be humble. And it's all these things came from naturally with my lesson.
That story you just told about you leaving home at the age of 13, I mean, you were still a child then. And, a lot of people here in the United States, we can't even imagine leaving home at that age. How do you find your motivation to do something like that? I mean, you were able to do that at the age of 13, and obviously that carried through as an adult. But when you are given these struggles and setbacks, how do you go forward and overcome those things?
Well, I never only went up like a stuck. I mean, like a mountain. Like you cannot only climb up; you have to come down too. Sometimes I have a lot of obstacle in my life. Sometime when I came to America, I even had after I moved out of my brother, I didn't have a right away type of family. I couldn't find a host family. I even sleep in the stadium inside the gym. And I, 4 or 5 nights, and then take a shower in the gym without a friend seeing it. So, and then I went to the classroom, make sure I didn't smell. So, things those kind of happen. And I think, like I told early age, what I went through, and that made me the changes and become a more strong person. And even though when, I had a financially stable, I have a lot of things around me, everything what I need, and still I have a lot of people always run into those kind of situations, doesn't matter what. But those you have to learn to fight back and trying to balance and trying to bring it to, how you want to handle those things. And I think early age moving to America, because I learned these things because my father is a Gurkha, which is British Army from Nepal. And in my home, I've been trained like an army. And pretty much I have to be very attention, alert, what I have to do and what my father can think and my mother can think. So I had to go through all these things, and I become very, I was trained well. So because of that, I think it wasn't, I wouldn't take it defensively in what my parents taught me, but I think that is the lesson that I think I learned, and that's why I see who I am today and what makes me become today.
That upbringing that you have definitely changed you as a person, and it has made you what you are today. Now, looking back at everything that you have done and what you've achieved, what has been the biggest sacrifice that you had to make in order to live this life?
And the biggest struggle I had is language. Coming to this country, I had to learn language. It did not other matter what, because after age of 13, most people consider it still kid, but the thing is, I wasn't at the time, but I was strong inside. And my biggest thing is also there's a mom for me. There's a mom always trying to like make sure I'm like I have food in my stomach, make sure I'm full or not, make sure I'm taking care of how am I doing today. I had to leave everything behind. Moved to my brother. But after 6 months, like I said, me and my brother didn't get along, and I had to move out. So those the biggest challenge that I had to face. One point I would just say, why the hell am I doing here in US? I think I should go back to my country, and I think my parents can shadow me, my parents can help me. I can live like a village life. And on one point, almost I gave up. But the thing is, and I can look at it and I cry myself. I look at it and then I just say, you know what? There's thousands of people lined up in U.S. Embassy in Nepal day and night to get a visa to come to this country. And if I come to this country and if I reach this much, and if I cannot even make it out of my life, well, I might as well die. And why should I be here, exist in this world today? And so those things that I had to give up a lot of things, and I came here and I struggle a lot up in life, and sometimes, like I said, I sleep on the outside the stadium in the high school stadium, and I had a 95 cents, or at that time was a 29 or 40 cents ramen, put in the hot water and eat day and night to survive and go to school and eat buy a a gallon of milk and buy a box of cereal and eat that, and I didn't have a choice of what I should eat, and pretty much I keep myself like to do something. And when I was doing 7 Summit, and I thought I almost gave up too in Everest, because when I was going through like this 65-degree angle up to the mountain, all ice, and if you fell, you're dead. And the 8,000-meter mountain, you have to cross from the one Lhotse face to next to Everest to climb, and going through that wall all day long, hiking one step at a time. I got a snow blind when I got to 8,000 meter in South Col, right before the last came of the summit. And at the time, I was all night long cry in the tent to bring me down. And I came with my helper Sherpa, and then one of my Sherpa brother. And then when I came down, I thought, I'm done. Now I'm done, and I give such a big hope to people, and I don't think I can do it anymore. And I came down to base camp, and then, I ate food, cry, and gosh, I get to wait another year. I don't know it's gonna happen again. So, but I called my wife, I called my cousins, I call a lot of people that I know closest, and they give me a lot of motivation. With that motivation they give to me, and that same year, after 3 days, they got sick and coming down to base camp, and next couple of days later, I turned around and went back and summited to Everest. And May 22nd, 2010 at 9:40 a.m., and that was the most emotional and moment I ever had in the top of the summit, talking on the satellite phone with my wife and crying.
That's amazing. And the fact that you had all of these obstacles thrown at you and you were ready to give up. And I really believe that the support system that you have, whether it's your friends or the people at home, it really makes a big difference, because that was one of the biggest motivator for you to get on top of Everest, was your friends and your wife just giving you that motivation and telling you that they're there to support you. And now that you have, achieved the 7 summits, your children are looking at you and in awe of everything that you have accomplished. And you are definitely the epitome of what a lot of immigrants want to be, and my parents are immigrants, and so am I. We're from the Philippines, and you always want what you couldn't have, right? As a child, as a person growing up in a different country, you come here and you think to yourself, I want to create something beyond me, and I want my children to have more than what I had before. And that's incredible because now you have your foundation, you have the International Sherpas, and it is a really great achievement for you to have. Let's talk about when you were preparing to do the 7 summits. How did you train for this? Did you used to climb a lot before you even did this, or did you just think about it? And, obviously you're from Nepal and there's a lot of mountains to climb over there, but how did you prepare for this moment?
Yeah, like I said, I was seventh, eighth grade in high school. The middle school when I in Nepal. When I was going to ninth grade, and I moved to here. But at that time, one season that I did, my brother had a company called Sherpa Adventure Trek in Nepal, and so there was a lot of student group comes from like University of Puget Sound, University of Washington, and I went to hiking with them like a 29 days trekking, like in the summertime, so I can earn some money. And but I did like about maybe a year, and then I moved to here. Like I said, like I've been in struggle, and I didn't have time to go to climb mountain. But 2002, I started hiking around the Seattle, Washington, and I started climbing my first time in 2002. I climbed Mount Rainier in first time, and from that, when I started in Mount Rainier, it was very technical, very challenging. I would still respect even it's a small mountain, but it's very, very technical. By 2009, when I started in Denali, my first summit, that was during end of the May, it was May 28th, I fly to Talkeetna. At that time, I already climbed Rainier 13 times. And with that technical skill, basic skills, give me about, even though when I said I wanted to do climb 7 summit in the world to help women and children, that was because I was continuing climbing Mount Rainier, and I was very motivated. I was very, confident about it. And so I said I'm going to do a 7 summit to help women and children and back home my home. So, and that's how I start climbing. But I also had a great buddy of mine who lives in Seattle also. He's the one of the person who holds the record in the world, climbing Everest in 10 hours and 56 minutes from bottom to top. And so his name is Lakpa Gelu Sherpa, and he gave me a lot of hint. And he came over my house 3-4 days, giving me ideas. And the good thing about the boot that he climbed to, the climbing boot that he climbed to use for Everest for 10 hours and 56 minutes, he borrowed, let me lend it. He said, you can borrow this boot. You can use this boot to climb. And okay, great, that's wonderful. And then so he helped me until 2 a.m. to pack. My wife's kids are sleeping, but he helped me 2 a.m. to pack all my gear and everything. And I flew to Talkeetna, Alaska, and then the weather turned really bad. People were run out of food in the mountain. They're turning around, and I goes, wow, this is not the Mount Rainier, so I'm going to be in trouble now. So, but when I fly to Talkeetna, and 3 days later, weather opened up, and they flew me to the base camp of 7,000 feet, and they left us there in the plane, and landed in the snow, and then they just left us there, and we're like 2 guys from the Air Force, 2 guys from Texas, mixed together. We had 9 people, and start climbing Denali. And climbing in Denali is about a 22 days expedition. We start climbing in the Denali Pass, and storming, mushroom on the mountain. It's really dark, and it's really bad weather. And so that night we just wasted 3-4 hours, energy, and then we came back and sleep. And then there's another group. They said, we're going to go. And I goes, no, don't do it. We just turn around. Please just stay here. We'll leave tomorrow. And they said, no, they're going to go. So they go in, and 6 a.m, I think at 5:30 or 6 a.m, they turned around and came back. And that's the time I made a call saying, we need to go now. So second try we went, and then we submitted. That was after climbing their company. He said that their company been doing expedition on the Denali over 50 years, and the first time we broke the company record by climbing in within 13 days. We broke the record, came back, celebrating in the base camp with a beer, fish, and eating. So everybody laughing, happy. So yeah, that's we started, and then from that, I went to Kilimanjaro by myself, and I managed. I never been to Africa before. We broke the record, came back, celebrating in the base camp with a beer, fish, and eating. So everybody laughing, happy. So yeah, that's we started, and then from that, I went to Kilimanjaro by myself, and I managed. I never been to Africa before. I'm very scared inside, and what's going to happen? I didn't even know this country. So I contact this company in Africa with, like this one British-owned company, and then they said, "Oh, you come and we'll help you out," blah blah. So that we just, I flew there. I managed to go. Well, since I'm in Africa, I should go to Russia from Amsterdam and climb both the mountain. Again, I'm just gonna put a time of 10 days. So I bought a ticket, return ticket. I went there in July, and then coming back. So I put only 10 days gap. And so I got really lucky. So I was already acclimatized, and then so in June month, and then July I went to the Kilimanjaro and climbed the mountain within 16 hours and 37 minutes. And I climbed from bottom to top, and then came back, and then rested 2 days and had some beer at the hotel, and then I went hop over to Amsterdam, and then from that I went to St. Petersburg and up to Minor-Bode, and then climbed the Alborz in 8 hours something minute, and then came back, and then from that the next mountain was very easy. It was like just walking, hiking in Australia, but plane ticket and the hotel is more expensive than just a trip for the mountain. So it's Kosciuszko was very easy, and it was hiked in 2 hours, and then came back, climbed that. Then from that I went to Aconcagua in Argentina. Climbed the Aconcagua in 9 days, and also that was the biggest thing was I feel like I went there for a celebrated New Year. I got there in 28 in over in Argentina in Mendoza, and then they had I stayed to rest 2 days to prepare my backpack and everything and acclimatize, and then I had a New Year celebration, and then next day I started climbing on the 1st, and then 9th I made a summit and came back all the way to Mendoza, and from that I went over to Chile, and then Chile over to Punta Reno, and climbed and then went to Benson Massive and climbed in 4 days. From that, the last mountain was made live in Everest, and then I had to wait until the May season, and so I started in Everest from Kathmandu to. I was already acclimatized all this mountain I climbed, so I was very acclimatized, but Everest is higher than the rest of the mountain, so from there I climbed Everest from Kathmandu to summit and back within 16 days.
Now, before you did the summit, what were you doing for a living, and how were you able to fund the climb to the 7 summits?
Yeah, great question. I had some back in 1996. I sold some stocks. I bought stocks in I was always in the stock like here and there. So I bought a Microsoft stock, and right before the Asian crisis, that 1996 went down, I sold my Microsoft stock, and I opened a restaurant in Seattle. It's called a Himalayan Sherpa restaurant, and then I had some little money saved up. On top of that, also my wife she's a dentist, and her company also sponsored me. And then there's another company in partner with the Microsoft. It's called Cyrus. I think the SIRUS Cyrus company, and Peter Younger is a friend of mine, and he helped me sponsor. And then with all the 3-4 people sponsor and Microsoft match funding with another funding, we use this matching program. All these companies help because the cost was almost $97,000 with the airplane ticket, hotels, even though if I can very economically, all my gears and everything to put together is quite expensive. And the biggest expensive was the flight to the Antarctica was very expensive. It was about almost close to about $35,000 just a flight. So just the airplane ticket.
Yeah, that's a huge chunk.
Oh yeah, that's a huge money. But then there's only four or five trips, and you have to get in that flight. Otherwise, you cannot get in. And even though today the flight costs almost about now going like extra like $40,000 or $45,000 now, even got expensive. So yeah, that's what those are funding what came from there. And mostly my wife helped me, and say the biggest part is she dentist. She has to work. She has to take care of the daughter, and at the same time, she have to be sad about am I coming back or not?
Yeah, that's a huge sacrifice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is sacrifice. I think it's because of that, and I think we are a great team today too. And my wife is a very, very big heart.
It's great that you found a partner that understood that and also shares the same types of values that you do, because I don't think your marriage would have lasted, or even, any type of relationship, if the person doesn't support what you do, because this is a huge sacrifice for the both of you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about an advice that you would give someone who's really struggling to find themselves and who wants to help, or just even figure out what it is that they're really meant to do, or they already know what they want to do, but they're just afraid to take the next step. What advice would you give those people?
Well, life is a gamble. Don't be afraid. Go for it. The worst thing going to happen is not going to happen first time, but it will going to happen, because if you pursue in your dream, and if you think positive, things going to happen positive. If you be afraid and you cannot do it, you will be stuck in there in the rest of your life with the dream. And I think it's I'm just kind of saying, you go to the gambling table, you have $25, you're going to put them on the blackjack table, saying here, I'm going to win big or I'm going to lose, and I'm going to go home. That's what life is also. There might be second chance, but the thing is, I think that for me, this is what I take the path, because I gamble my life. And then I think pretty much that's what kind of changes me, because I just don't want to be stuck there, say, well, I have a $5. I don't want to expend it. If I expend it, I'm going to lose this. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I didn't have the money, but a lot of money to climb. It cost me $97,000, but I had a vision, I had a goal, and I said I'm going to do it, and people came along to support me that fund. So it's done. At the end, it's done. So that's what you have to do, because I don't want to be stuck in my dream, saying the rest of my life, saying I'm afraid I don't think I can do this. It's going to be too late. And I think a lot of young kids, I think the time is money. And you have to value yourself that, what do you want to do? When it comes around age of 40, after 40 plus, if I waited, I would never think about Seven Summit, because I didn't have any energy left. I didn't know what I want to climb. I have a family life. I have a kids in school. There's a lot of things that will changes come, but before you too late, you need to go for it.
That's such a great message to give. And the worst thing, I think, for all of us is always wishing and having those what ifs, and we never get up and actually do it. And we always have that in the back of our minds, right? And then when we're old and frail, we look back and, what if I had done this? And I think that's one of the worst things that you can do for yourself, is never trying, because there's always going to be failures, but that's how you learn.
Yeah, it is. Yesterday, it's a daily basis too. I could have had a free time yesterday. I was just sitting on the couch, playing my Facebook, and I could have done my laundry. I could have done today, and then today there's something emergency came out. Goes, wow, I should have done yesterday this, and now today I could have been so relieved. But people always regret, gonna go, well, I should have done that. But rather than say done that, do it and done it. And you could have done it, you could have done it, and you could have been result could have been great. But like I said, I was today I was looking at myself too, crazy. For me, how the hell do I ever thought about saying like, with a living 3.5 years and a wife and home and saying like, I'm going to do a 7 summit. I wasn't drunk, but it came and because, it came and I just said it. And then now what I said it and you have to do it. And then I did it and people thought he's BSing. I don't think he's going to do it. And that's why, and people who didn't believe you, now they believe you because you build that trust, saying like, well, he said it, he did, he's going to do this, he did it. He said he's going to do that, he did it. Now he's like this. So the guy is amazing, and we need to trust him. And, that's the ethic. Ethic in every place you go to apply a job. The first thing you look at in the resume, people will look at the ethic, how long you've been that person hold the job. How long the person, done it. All these things comes from trust. And I think you have to build a trust to people. You have to have a good ethic. And I think everything is in this world that nobody can say, I cannot do it. It can be, the way I did a 7 Summit, I think anybody can do anything.
Absolutely. And, there's a saying, well done is better than well said. And it's absolutely true. And, you did the 7 summits, and one of the greatest things that came from that is your foundation, right? And now you can help so many people and make such great change just because of what you did and that first step that you took, because you had this dream that you wanted to accomplish. Now, can you give us a little bit more of a background on 7 Summits, what it's about, and, more details of why you started it and what you're doing?
The 7 Summit, like I said earlier, I give you an example about females, women are like, age of 13, they married and they couldn't see it. The second thing is, I went through in my life in the village that such a small village, and there was about 9 different villages in connect to my village. Makes a one like a district. So pretty much what happened is like I earlier also opened the topic of my father is a British Army, and he trained like a family is trained like British Army. In the village, school doesn't come as a first priority. Family work become a first priority. And when I do a lot of like, say I wake up in the morning, I drink a tea, and then after that I have a snack, and then I run to the jungle to get a wood for cooking meal for the family. And then I go down to the river, like a 2-mile run down the river, and then I climb back to the river, come back home, and I grab my snack, eating while I'm standing, and then run to the jungle to get a grass for the cow. And the nighttime when teacher gave me a homework, I'm trying to do a homework, there's no light, there's no electricity, there's no fire, because we need a wood for the cooking meal. So if I know I had never had an opportunity to doing a homework and this and that, and doing my schoolwork. Because of that, I look at all this hardship back there, and like I talk about, woman has never seen the wheels in the car. Electricity. The rich people in the village, they go to like a 3 days market, and they buy a kerosene, and they put those tiny tube in, and they light it up, and the rich people family can do a homework. Kids can do a homework, and they have a servant. Servant does all the work, and so they didn't have to do anything. So for us, we are not rich, we are not poor, but my family, my father went through really hardship, and he said that we should all go through hardship and can make something in our life. So all these things, because I thought about it, and after, like I said, 10, 15 years later, I got my green card, I thought, wow, Nepal could be changed, because America is such a developed, and Nepal should be 10 years later, I think Nepal would change. But it got worse, because after the revolution, of Maoist revolution in Nepal, with destroy everything we even had in the village, everything's messed up. So when I went there in the village, there's not many males, all females, out of like ratio of maybe 1 male out of like 25 females in the village. Female cannot do a hard work. Female cannot do a lot of things, and all the males went to run away from the Maoist thing, and they ran into like Dubai, Qatar, Israel to do a work and bring the money home, support family. So I went to the village, and then I see like a lot of difficulty, and then that's the moment I like I said, I wasn't drunk, and I said I can do a 7 summit, put my name out there, I want to help out. And so I started building schools. I built like electricity for 110 homes, the village. Now today even the electricities are like everywhere, and people can read and write, and they didn't have to worry about like a teacher gonna get it. I mean, the worst thing that I got is every single day I've been beaten up by teacher because I couldn't finish the homework and I have no time. I mean, daily basis routine my family work was first priority. And after that, like say, even the medical, people get severe pain with a toothache, like a root canal. They have to carry somebody's behind back, and they have to walk 3 days to cross the mountain to take this clinic. And clinic doesn't have a full support of all these procedure dentists. They didn't have like this. So because of that, I thought climbing 7 Summit and opening a 7 Summit Foundation what I do the work, how I did it, and all these things, people will continue to come. And now even the NYU, like 75 to 100 doctor goes a year through the 7 Summit Foundation. And if you Google, you can see the NYU and 7 Summit work. And I think that this year also they booked it like a 2 dentistry group to now. And we're also very, very concerned about the Nepal government policies and stuff, because right now during the earthquake, it's been like 2.5 years. All these organizations went and give them millions of dollars in Nepal. None of the people has even built their house yet. So we are building a house right now. Their government promised to give a $2,000 and never did. And they're waiting for that $2,000, and they're still sheltering, they're not building their house, the house that's been damaged.
When the earthquake happened, obviously there was a lot of media to it, but we don't realize that even after it happens and years later, there's still so much to do. But there's not as much help anymore because the media is not focused. There's more things happening and it gets buried in the background and underneath. And it's great, it's fantastic, and it's obviously another great accomplishment that you are able to help people who really need it and still continue to need it every single day. And another thing that I really took from what you said is what you had gone through and still the people and the children are going through. I mean, just walking for miles just to get water. And I'm sure it was also a lot of walk just going to school and just getting the right health care for themselves. And, if we compare it to here, we're complaining about a 30-minute commute in the car while somebody's walking literally miles just to get water for themselves, which is an everyday need and necessity. So it's perspective, and it really opens your eyes when you do see this in person and you experience it. And that's why I think it's so important for people to do responsible travel, not just obviously you want to enjoy it, but also really see what people and culture, what the differences are. So, AC, if people want to help and they want to find out more about your organization, where can they find you and where can they contact you?
The organization is number 7, like a 7, Roman number 7. Summits, SUMMITS, like a plural, Summits, foundation.org. Or they can go to himalayanfoundation.org. We'll route same website. And right now we're not looking for their money. They can welcome to go to Nepal for 2 weeks volunteer, up to them. But the thing is, the airline ticket costs about $2,500, and then get there, you have to stay at the hotel, you have to go to the village, and it comes out almost close to 2 weeks trip. It's going to come out like, just the good volunteering going there, it's going to cost about almost close to $4,000 to $5,000. The other way to do it is like you can flash for saying, hey, I like to buy one labor in Nepal, pay $1,000, and he can or she can go there, do our work for us, and we'll pay his benefit. Like you can do $1,000 1 month donation for building these homes in the village. and they can do that, or maybe half a month. I just we are not looking funding, but the thing is, funding can buy labor. The labor is also create a more job and a job for the locals. And I think rather than these young kids are going to Middle East like Dubai, Qatar, Israel, having a lot of problem in their own life, they can going to come back or not. And because of that, you can have this kind of a like a labor you can create within job for this so much rebuilt project in Nepal after the earthquake. I think that will be great help. The other thing is we also have a program. It's a Everest Base Camp Trek or Himalaya. A lot of people wanted to do a life of journey of lifetime. Memory of a lifetime type of thing. So if they go through the International Sherpa Guides, which is my other company, 30% profit will also give back to the Seven Summit Foundation. And that foundation, that fund will either help build a school or rebuild villages like homes and whatever the funding can offer, and we do those kind of things.
That's incredible. And, you get best of both worlds. You get to enjoy yourself and you also help out people who really need it. And another thing that I wanted to emphasize from what you just said is that when you give that $1,000, it's all about the labor here and the jobs that you're giving people. So it's not charity when you're giving someone a job. Someone's not just sitting there and waiting for you to give them a handout. They don't need that. People don't need that. We all want to feel like we are doing something with ourselves, and we want to feel like we are contributing. And by giving people jobs, I think that's the best thing that we can do. And that's a really amazing thing.
They have a choice. They can, I know if anybody willing to help for the Nepal earthquake project, and they can say, hey, I want to go to a country, and maybe I like to go to Nepal. Always I have in my, bucket list. Everybody says that, a bucket list. So if it's a bucket list, this is the great time to go in. They say, well, any other time is not important, but this time is important because right now the country is going through a lot of problems. Labor issue, hard to find a job, and tourists hardly comes because of they are still worried about the earthquake problem happen, and I think they think like, well, maybe the country is still a lot of mass. But the thing is, but this is the time you can go saying like, well, maybe two people are going to find a job because I'm going to go to Everest Base Camp Trek. I'm going to during my trek, I'm going to hire two Sherpa or two porters. So they get a job so they can support. And that's one other way to do. The other thing goes, well, the 30% that this going to this company, my money worth somewhere. So the 30% is going to go to benefit the earthquake we rebuilt. The other thing goes, well, maybe I don't have a time right now. My schedule is so full. I have kids in school. So I'm busy. So let me do a $500, maybe half a month, or maybe $1,000 for 1 month to buy one of the guide, and maybe they can give me a report who they hire or bring me some kind of update. And Seven Summit happy to do that. And I think that's going to be the great benefit that we can give back to Nepal.
That's amazing. And it's incredible what you guys still continue to do after all of these years. And we will definitely put the website on our website as well, so people can check that out more. Thank you so much, AC, for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it. And all of the insights and the stories you told us was fantastic, and I got so much from it. And obviously, when I met AC a few years ago, I was girl fanning for sure. So it's great. Thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity to talk to you and learning more about what you do and getting the meat of it. Thank you, AC. I hope you enjoyed this episode with AC Sherpa. If you want to learn more about his foundation and how to help Nepal, you can visit 7summitsfoundation.org. Again, that's the number 7, summitsfoundation.org. Or you can visit theoffbeatlife.com. Again, that's theoffbeatlife.com. One of the best things about having an offbeat life is being able to work from anywhere. But with all of my crazy schedule, it's hard for me to find the best deals on flights and where to stay. But Skyscanner has helped me through that. If you visit offbeatflight.com, again that's offbeatflight.com, you'll also find those killer deals.